Ready? It's actually not that hot.
Yours is not in the sun. Mine was.
Okay.
Trust me.
Interesting. Right. And then right. I'll tell you, it makes for a really nice day. Just cruising around. At least it does for me. I really like it. Very pleasurable riding. Really kind of motivates me and makes me want to get my own bicycle or get our own bicycles for Gracie and I. Because again, the discomfort with these is a mild deterrent to, so we're gonna need to take a ride up here, honey. Is a mild deterrent to doing this regularly. So one could argue I'm just making excuses, but if wherever you're watching this, imagine that you're sitting on a piece of granite. That is basically the experience of this bicycle, almost literally. And actually, since I've lost weight over here, I've pretty much lost weight everywhere, with the exception of my tummy a little bit. So because of that, I have less meat in my seat. So I'm feeling this more so than I would be in the past. Gracie, also incredibly slim young lady. So she's feeling it. So this is where we started. This is back at, once again, Coconut Bike Rentals, and Gracie is certainly, I know I am, very excited for our ice cold coconut.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty awesome. He keeps them in these little coolers right here.
Love it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, because sometimes, the end of a vacation.
Yes. Yeah.
Cup. So she's got hand sanitizer for us, which is very much appreciated. Which is very cool. So that's great. So I'll take advantage of that. And this is why this is bicycle rental number 1. This is it. Fresh coconut. Look at that. How do I mark? Look at that. Completely full. Absolutely awesome. All right. Living the dream. All right. So look at that. That is just fantastic. Now what we did last time is we actually brought these with us home. So once again, it may not be called this, but that's what I refer to it as. Coconut Bike Rentals. The guy is amazing. Giant Buddha statue. Just come in, take a right, take an immediate left, and bang, there he is. So that's cool. That said, if you do want to go inland and get potentially a better quality bike, then these motorbikes are here. And for the most part, these guys will take you pretty much anywhere that's close by for 20 baht. And for 100 baht, they probably drive you all over the island all day. And they have the prices listed there too. So there's some level of accountability. I don't anticipate that they would try and cheat you, quite frankly, because the majority of the people over here are tourists, Thai tourists, I mean. So, and then what we're not going to do today, unfortunately, is bring these back, simply because while awesome, we're leaving tomorrow for the island, for an island. So anyway, so 8 baht for both Gracie and I. Kapumakap. Okay, now the goal for today is to not hit my head on this piece of metal, which is where I hit it before. The boat is, in fact, loading and getting ready to leave. Now, the good news is that
The dog is still here.
the dog is still here, so you know we're safe. This guy will pretty much sit here all day until encouraged to leave. And even if you miss the boat or you think you're going to be late, don't run, don't bother. There's always plenty of motorbikes that are going to need to load up, as you can see here. Yeah, so we'll go towards the back. It's always sort of easier to hang out there. There we go. So we can hang out on the stern, I suppose, but right here is fine. So what'd you think?
I like it. I had fun.
It was fun, right? I mean, because the food was good. Okay, do you think it would have been better to rent a motorbike?
I had too much fun with doing it.
It was fun, right? Okay, so then,
If we go like more harder.
so how about this?
But I like it when I do it with the bicycle.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just I can practice more.
that's kind of where I'm at. You're practicing. I mean, you're riding a bike like you've been riding a bike forever.
Yeah.
So here's to give you an example of how much of a working river this is. This is very common. You'll see that throughout here quite a bit. You'll also see a bunch of these empty ones here, especially on the weekdays. This is a weekend, but it was very empty this weekend, which I really like. I don't know if it was only Child Island, but it was close. Makes for a nice commute home, too. Life on the water is just better, provided it's warm. So the other nice thing about if you're thinking you're missing the boat, basically all you got to do is just wait for the next one, in the sense that really all you got to do is wait for the current one that you think you've just missed to pull away. What I just noticed is there's actually another guy in front of us, so that's why we're going a little slow to wait for him. And then to the left of him, you'll see there's a kind of a mini container ship. You don't usually see ones with only that many, but obviously this is just up and down the river, so. And just like that, a very successful day. Now we walk back to the Song Tao.
Yeah.
Take that back. Yep, over there on the left.
But there's no one isn't there yet.
No, they'll do it. At least that's what happened last Saturday. They waited around for us. And really, it's not that much more expensive, but it is kind of the Thai experience. So we're going to go for it. And then that basically just brings us back to Udam Suk Road, which of course is the Udam Suk BTS, which is the end of the skywalk here. And then it's just a few more blocks down to True Digital Park, here where we live.
So greetings and aloha. What's going on, guys? It's Mike's from livemyassoff.com. Thanks a lot for watching that. I wanted to obviously finish off sort of the series, if you will, of Gracie and I going over to Krachao, which is, just you don't know, is like basically right in the middle of Bangkok. It's right across the river, right across the Chao Phraya River. Real easy to get to, and hopefully you enjoyed that little bit of us doing our little vacation here, even in our hometown. And that was really cool. I miss Gracie a lot, as you might imagine. But the reason actually I waited until just recently to publish those is that oh no, okay, let me rewind it all. How's that? Yeah, I'll you know what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to get rid of this thing and then I'm going to pop up the YouTube. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, I've had bubbly beverage. I'm going to pop up the YouTube chat so I can absolutely interact with you guys, because as you may or may not know, that actually is part of why I like doing this. It's quite cool. And I'm using StreamYard this evening. So that's going to be pretty cool. And as you saw, I was able to sort of embed a video in there and kind of started off with that. At the end of the day, that video actually in about 4 minutes is going to go live on Facebook. And so you can catch up if you want. But wanted to play it now as the beginning of this. I was just kind of getting ready. But also I wanted to check in. I rarely do live streams in the evening. It's like 9:30 here. And I rarely do them unscheduled any longer, unless it's like in the middle of the day. Earl, good to see you. Thank you so much for coming by. Daniel, I also want to say hello to you. You were the first person to come on by. Logan, always good to see you as well. And Aztec, is that how you would pronounce that? AZZ70CH? Aztec? Or Aztec, maybe? Sorry. But anyway, yeah, so the video that I was playing at the beginning, that's going to basically be published, I think, on YouTube here in about 3 or 4 minutes. I think I said it for like Aztec. Go Aztecs, baby. I got my bachelor's at San Diego State University, and the name of our team was the Aztecs, so go Aztecs. 7:27 p.m. in the U.S. Yeah, so this is kind of like actually a fairly normal time for a lot of you in the U.S. It's 7, so it's about 9 or 10:30 in the morning, right? On the East Coast. But nonetheless, Philippines On Demand, good to see you. You know what, dude? I was going to send you a message, Billy. How am I? What, are you kidding me, dude? I'm living the dream. I got to wake up this morning, Billy. Oh, my God. Ha, cool. Good morning. Yeah, so definitely. And, yeah, in the AM there, Daniel. Got it, my friend. So anyway, so it's good to have you guys along for this ride here. I won't make this a massively long live stream because I need to get to sleep. But what I wanted to let you guys know is, I think on the last stream I mentioned, hey, so now Bangkok Airways is opening up, right? And I can in fact buy a ticket and go to Koh Samui, and then I can land at the airport, and then I can do a whole lot of nothing. There was no confirmation that I was able to get that the beaches would be open. It was interesting. Okay, so yeah, so I did mention that on the live stream, right? And I'm all excited. So I finished the live stream. I close everything down, close my computer. I pick up my phone. And what is the first message I get on my phone? From the hotel saying, oh, sorry, we're closed until July 1st. So I'm like, okay, great. So now they have like all these planes going there, but what do you do when you get there, right? And this was not a little sort of mom and pop, I can understand why they're closed kind of thing. This was a fairly nice place. The main reason I booked it, because, I mean, again, there's such low occupancy. And the deals, I mean, this thing was normally, I think, 11,000 baht a night, and I got it for like 1,100. I mean, it was like 90% off. It was amazing. I was totally stoked. I was going to go down there, and I don't know if you guys do this, but I do this. If I'm going to go somewhere, I book a hotel or something like that for one night, or an Airbnb maybe for like 1 or 2 nights. I get down there, I figure it out, I explore, I get a motorbike or whatever. So anyway, so that was off, and I was like, all right, well, that's fine, I guess, because at least I don't want to go down there. I checked into Phuket, but if you know anything about Phuket recently, they literally opened up their airport. They announced that they were going to open it up, and 3 hours later they closed it down. They said, "Nah, actually, that probably isn't a good idea." So, hey, Isaac, good morning, man. Good to see you. And POD. Billy on Demand, not Philly on Demand, but Billy on Demand. I hope you're doing good, man. I hope you're doing good. Billy and I had a great conversation this afternoon. I was honored to be able to check in with you, man. That's pretty cool. Not going to make this a massively long stream, ... 3 hours later. Well, right. I'm not going to make it 7 hours. I mean, come on. I can hiccup for 3 hours. And if I drink enough of this bubbly stuff, I just might do that. See Thai Airways nearly falling over in the news too. Yeah. I mean, if you don't know anything about Thai Airways, I mean, they've been basically on the verge of bankruptcy for years. And what they'll do is they'll hire a new CEO and he'll come in. And if he's one with competence, he'll be like, okay, so we're overspending ridiculously. And our top line revenue is basically stagnant and the competition is eating us alive. And so we probably need to fire some people and like figure this out. Because if you don't know, one of the reasons that Thai Airways had two of the last routes they did were to San Francisco and to Los Angeles direct. Sorry, they had a layover, but it was like always Thai Airways. It wasn't like code share with United. And I literally, I didn't do it this way, but I ended up doing it this way. I was on the last Thai Airways flight that went into Los Angeles. Before that, about 6 months earlier, they had closed down the route into SFO. But I would always go in and out of LAX amidst the fact that it's a total dump. But anyways, I'm sitting there at baggage claim. I'm talking to the lady, and I said, "Oh, I guess you guys are going to like close down." She goes, "Oh, yeah, this is the last flight." And she's sitting there in a Thai Airways uniform, and I'm like last forever? And she said, "Yeah, this is you got on the last flight." And it was sometime in October. I think. Well, I want to say like 4, maybe even 5 years ago now. And I was like, okay, well, that's weird. I mean, yeah, the flight wasn't full, but you know, it is October. It's not like November, December. So I'm like, all right, well, what I found out is that there are safety requirements, as you might guess, to fly a plane in the air, especially over the Pacific. And while Thai Airways usually met those, the United States has additional requirements to be able to land your plane in the United States. And they simply weren't checking all the boxes. Now, that was an interesting piece of data to discover after I had just flown over the Pacific Ocean. But again, it wasn't like, it was going to be like, the engine wasn't going to fall out mid-flight, but it was very interesting. So to the point of, potentially Thai Airways trying to like cut expenses, I think they may have possibly said, well, maybe we could cut down on this maintenance, Well, the downside to that, dude, is that you're not flying into the U.S. any longer. And if you know anything about flying in and out of the U.S., if you're a global airline, you want that market. Trust me. It's not free. You got to pay, but still. Stuck, good to see you. Good evening. Thank you very much. Good morning to you, sir. Working just popped up to say hi. Give a thumbs up. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Philly says, or Billy, sorry, Philippines on Demand. Fine, stacking my deck. Good for you, my friend. Good for you. Good to hear that. So I wanted to finish up with part 4 of our little bike tour there, and that was the last part, by the way. And you may or may not have heard me mention in the video a couple of times that when I shot that, after that, Gracie and I, we went to an island. And again, the main reason that I didn't but I didn't publish any of that until, like a few days ago, is because you weren't able to do that. Meaning that like today, May 19th or 20th, I can't remember, but today, you can go outdoors and you could literally like take that ferry over to Krachao, and just so you know, it's pronounced as well as written KR Chow and K a chow. So it's Krachao, right? But it's Thai, obviously. And any English sort of written letters that represent the phonetical spelling of the Thai squiggles, right? It's not always accurate. And so in any case, like Sukhumvit, for example, sometimes you'll see it with an H, sometimes you won't. But at the end of the day, the Thais know how to pronounce it. We just don't know how to represent those phonetics. We're using, the English characters. But anyway, so Krachao is the name of the island there. It is 100% owned by the royal family, and therefore you cannot own land over there. You can only lease it. And I'm not talking about just like us Farang, which we can't own, or we can anyway. We can't own land anyway. But if you're Thai, you can't own land over there, actually, because you can only lease it because it's all owned by the king. And they refer to that area right in the middle of the city as the lung and or the green lung or the green lungs, potentially, depending upon who you talk to, of the city. And as you probably know, like foliage, right? It basically, takes nitrogen in, produces oxygen at night and that sort of thing. So ideally, it's filtering out the lovely air that is all part of Bangkok. And so anyway, so we went over there and did that. And then the next day we went. But what I can't do is I can get on a bus and I can go down to this ferry, but I can't really take the ferry over to Kosi Chang, which is effectively, or it's not effect, it is the closest island that, for tourism, if you will, to Bangkok. And it takes about a 2-hour bus ride and then about a 45-minute to hour, depending upon like sort of traffic and waves and that sort of thing, ferry over to Kosi Chang. And it's awesome. And in fact, when we went over there, like 50% of the folks on the boat, you can like sit up or below. And most of the people actually sitting below had masks on, and it was a mask thing. But like when we had masks, but like once we got to the resort, it was kind of like, well, I'm not really going to wear it because we're like outdoors and we're far apart from people. And obviously by that time, this was in like March, there wasn't a Chinese person in sight. I mean, they had stopped traveling completely as of end of January. And so it was just us, and we had a great time. But you could already see the effects of the economy, and people were really kind of hurting. But Daniel says, Mike, perhaps you know the answer. Why do Filipinos give the peace sign when you take their picture or video of them? It's not just Filipinos. There's plenty of Thais that like go like this, or are like this. They like do it on their face and just. Yeah, there's a number of goofy reasons. It's kind of like the answer to the question, why do a lot of Thais decorate their car ad nauseum with Hello Kitty? It's just something they do over here. It's kind of like, and here's what's funny. So my mom may watch this, so I don't know if I'm actually not going to go down that road. But they do this thing with their fingers on their mouth, which where I grew up, that meant a very vulgar sort of thing. It's not the equivalent of, say, the middle finger, but it was very vulgar. And a lot of times they'll do that, and I remember my Thai girlfriend, she did that. I said, yeah, you don't want to do that. I said, that's not going to get you a whole lot of quality friends in the United States if you do that. So, watch what you do with your fingers kind of thing. But yeah, I don't really know why they started doing it. I do this, right? Like this peace sign, thumbs up. Like, why do you do that? Well, I guess it means, hey, see you later. Cool. Or yeah, that like I do this a lot. I use my thumbs a lot. I cannot really communicate with Gracie's parents, for example. But I tell you, the universal symbol for, yeah, it's cool, everything's okay, no problem, really good. That I use that a lot with her parents. And so, yeah, I think it's just one of those things that they sort of adopted, but they do it a lot. They also take a lot of selfies, like a lot of selfies, man. When you're over here, you will see them in front of absolutely everything. And so Stuck said, yeah, all over Asia. Patrick said, just canceled a Zoom call at work to join the cool kids table. Well, right on, Patrick. I tell you what, bro, you can like bring us in on the you can bring us in on the Zoom call if you want. I mean, I'm great on Zoom. I can lead any meeting. Oh my God. Look at the projections we've got here. Or the picture frame hand sign. You and Trump. Yeah, well, trust me, I was doing this a lot long before Trump was doing it. So anyway, so why am I here? So what happened is after I said, okay, well, Koh Samui's out. And then I said, all right, well, I'll put these videos together because, of course, also I wanted to like relive some of what Gracie and I had experienced together. Because, again, one more announcement. This is how long it's going to take Gracie to get over here, basically, is the headline I read. The reality of it is, international travel in and out of the Philippines is what that means. The thumbs up. Yeah, I guess. And so anyway, I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna get some euphoric recall over like some videos, and so then I put those up. But I also said, all right, well, I want to get to the beach. I was gonna say I have to get to the beach. I don't have to get to the beach, but I really, really, really want to get to the beach. Like I have to drink water eventually, right? But it would be a lot more, my life would be a lot more enjoyable if I could get to the beach. And so I said, okay, well, how am I going to make that happen? So Yesterday, I go to the Hua Lumpong train station, which a lot of people will refer to as the main train station here in Bangkok. There's others, okay? And I'm going to tell you a little bit of story about that in a minute here. But it's very easy. You can take public transportation. You can take BTS over to MRT. You take MRT, bam, right to Hua Lumpong. You get out of the you come up the escalator, and you are literally inside of the beginning of the train station. So I go in, and they do the temperature thing and everything. And then there's people at desks, and they're like filling out stuff, which I figured out what those were before. And it's simply all it is saying, here's my name. And this is the train that I'm getting on. It departs at this time. It arrives at this time. And in the last 2 weeks, I have not had nausea, vomiting, fever, there's like about 10 different things. And you just don't check any of them. Unless you've had that, in which case I would submit if you check off one of those, then they're like, okay, well, you basically just told us that you don't want to come on this train then, dude, because you're not getting on it. Anyway, so you fill that out. So I go up to the guy, and the nice thing about the bigger train stations is they do speak English. Now, there's very little in English. The only thing that I've ever seen in English at Thai train stations has, the numbers, right? I mean, that's kind of universal, but is usually the departure and the arrival city, but not always. And so anyway, at Hua Lumpong, it's like right in the middle of the city, right? It's the big one until they move everything over to Bang Sue. And so the screen will sit there, and of course it'll all be in Thai, and then it'll switch to English, and then it'll switch to Thai, whatever. But they don't have very good maps, and they don't have a great list of. So you kind of got to go in and to be fair, the reason I'm explaining all this is because over 60% of the trains are not running. And if you also know anything about the trains in Thailand, you realize that many of them go from point A to point B, and they take the entire day. I mean, I'm talking about sometimes you're like, okay, well, I won't take the 7 o'clock train, but I'll take the 9 p.m. train because I'll sleep on it. And then when I wake up, I will arrive in Chiang Mai, kind of thing. So there's many overnight trains. And up until a few days ago, the curfew here was 10 p.m. Until 4 a.m. You basically couldn't go outdoors. You couldn't do anything. So there was no trains that any train that was running up against 10 p.m. They just canceled it. Any train that they wanted to start before 5 o'clock, they said, forget it. So anyway, so I go in and I say, hey, I want to go to Prachop Kurikan, which is basically, it's two things. Kind of like Bangkok is a city. Bangkok's also a province, if you don't know. So Prachop Kurikan is a gigantic province that is kind of from about Hua Hin all the way down to near Chumpon. I think that's how you pronounce it. In any case, but then there's also a city, much like Bangkok, I live in Bangkok, in the city of Bangkok, the province of Bangkok, in the city of Bangkok. And then so there is actually a city called Prachop Kurikan in Prachop Kurikan. I've been down to the beach there. There's a couple of videos that Gracie and I did it. We had a great time down there. Al Manal Beach, I think is the name of it. I love it down there. It's great. And if you ever watch Foreigner Joe, his channel, he and Gift have been living down there for, I want to say, about 2 months maybe. And he's a little bit further sort of north of where Gracie and I were staying, right at the beach. So it was great. It was quiet. And the cool thing is if you take the train down there, you get off at the train station, and it's literally 1 kilometer to walk from the train station right to the beach. And there's this really cool pier. And every night, not just like Tuesdays or Thursdays or Saturdays or whatever, every single night there is essentially a night market, kind of, in the sense that, the empty sidewalk filled with tents. But everyone that lives there sort of knows that. And so they don't close down the street, but you don't drive down it. I mean, because everyone's walking all over the place, and there's really no parking. And so effectively the street is closed off. I mean, it's not, you can drive down there, and many motorbikes cruise around, but so it's right on the boardwalk effectively. And there's many places right there in Prachop Kurikan where the water literally comes right up to the cement, end. So it's great. So you go down there and just eat, just eat one stall after another. I mean, it's just, I want a hamburger. Oh, I want a shake. Oh, I want some French fries. Oh, onion rings. Oh my God, I haven't had a turkey leg. Oh yeah, definitely. I want some cow pad guy or whatever. And then they have foot massage, and it's every night. And I love it, love it, love it. And if you watch one of my videos on Prachap Currycon, there was this one scene I did in the morning, and it's simply on at sunrise, and the little longtail boats, they're like just, they're just like cruising along and the sun's rising, and I'm like, oh, dude, I need some of that. So I say to myself, I go to the guy, Prachap Currycon. He says, okay, moves the screen. And he says, okay, so the train leaves at 5 in the morning and it gets down there at like 11 in the morning. And which it's scheduled to get down there at 11 in the morning. Any Thai train you take, do not expect it to get there on time. I mean, for example, I was watching the train that I was supposed to take today. By the time it got to my destination, it was 183 minutes late. Okay. So the departure time, if you're at the origin, will likely be within a few minutes, but after that, forget it. It's fully on Thai time. And anyway, so he says, okay, 5 in the morning, whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that. I mean, I'll just get up early and then I'll like sit on the train. And when I get down there, then I'll go for a nap. Fine. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of cool. I got this thing. So I'm coming home and I take a picture of it. I send it to Gracie. I said, hey, I'm cruising down to that beach that you and I went to. It's going to be tons of fun. I'm really excited. I want to go to the beach. Oh my God, I missed the beach so much. So I am walking home. I take a picture of the ticket and I look down and I say to myself, wait a minute. This train leaves at 5 a.m. It's scheduled for about okay. So the train is supposed to leave at 5, which it probably will. It is scheduled to get into Prachap Currycon at 9:44 in the morning. Okay. And it has never in the history of Thailand gotten there in that time. If you're lucky, it'll be an hour late, but usually it's about 2 hours late by the time you get down there. And so it's about a 3 or 4. It's about a 4-hour ride basically on the train. If like the thing never stopped and it went the speed it's supposed to, and the guy didn't fall asleep or whatever. Everyone is so quiet today. I thought the chat was frozen. Yeah, it's funny. I did look down. I said, I just want to make sure that I'm connected here, but that's fine. And if you have any questions, please, I'm going to get to that too in a second too. That's the other reason I titled this thing "Your Questions and Answers," because I want to circle back on what I said last time with here's how you get in my calendar. And that was not the success that I thought it would be. I'm honored that you guys want to talk like offline, but I have a finite number of attention units. And after I put that out there, someone made an appointment on that Monday and I said, okay, great. And then I got booked all the way through to the end of May. And so like my next appointment was available to hang out with you guys was like June 3rd or 4th. And I'm like, okay, I love you guys, but like this is starting to turn into a job. And I'm like so retired. I mean, I was just like, okay, I got to figure out a better paradigm to do this with. Plus, I really like the interaction. And anyway, so I'm going to get to that in a second and the communication. But that said, feel free to front load any questions you guys have. I'll make sure I answer them to the best of my ability during this incredibly short Aztec Memorial 3-hour live stream. And so I am walking back and I take a look at the ticket and I'm like, oh yeah, 5 a.m. Gracie's like, oh yes. And I said, and then I sent her a message. I said, oh my God, I'm such a bozo. And she's like, why? I said, okay, curfew is till 4 a.m. It'll take me because I can't take public transportation at that hour. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll take a taxi. It'll take me approximately 45 minutes to get from our condo to the train station. And there's going to be no traffic at like that time. But the curfew goes until 4 a.m. Now, I obviously had a fantasy that at 4:01 a.m., every taxi that ever existed would be lined up outside of my condo building just waiting for, tall Mikes to get out there and be like, hey, take me to the train station. Here's a full 250 baht. How's that grab you? And so that is a fantasy. And so I said, I will never make it to the train station in time. And I wasn't exactly feeling 100% because I had some fried rice thingy from a chain. I know better than I always get food made on the sidewalk with some lady who is like sitting there, just like talking to her friends and doing this, never go to a chain, never go to a chain, never go to a chain, never go to a chain that makes Thai food in Thailand. So anyway, I did that and I thought, oh, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, the worst thing that can happen is I feel like garbage. And I could have sucked it up and done it. And trust me, if I had made like a plane reservation, then I would have been like, okay, fine. But it was like 208 baht. And I'm like, okay. it's going to totally be worth me $7 for me to like just stay home today. Anyway, so those two reasons I didn't do it. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, fine. Well, I'll lay down today and I'll just like chill out. I'll hang out. And then tomorrow morning, what I'll do is I'll just like figure out a way. And I open my Grab app and you can actually schedule something ahead of time. And I can't schedule anything ahead of time because, of course, they block out like basically everything before 6 a.m. Because there's the potential that there'll be a curfew, overlap. And you don't, trust me, you do not want to be out at 3:59 a.m. The fine is significant. It's like 40,000 baht. It's ridiculous. And so, as you might guess, people are paying attention. Tons of thumbs, baby. Tons of thumbs. And so I said, all right, well, let me just like figure this out. So then I go over to the bus station, and the bus station has a bus that leaves at 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock, whatever. And it goes down to Cha Am. But Cha Am was the same scenario as Koh Samui. I can get down there. There's occasionally a hotel open. But I can't, like, what I want to do when I go to the beach, I want to walk on the beach. Like 4 hours, I want to walk on the beach. And there's parts of Cha Am where I can do that when the beach is open. So it's not really open. And so much like I heard about Koh Samui, they're like, look, when you cross like the province boundaries, you can do that. And obviously on a plane, they'll get you there and you don't have to quarantine. That was the other thing. There was the possibility that I might have to quarantine for 14 days when I got to Samui. And I'm like, okay, like, again, I live life on vacation. That's fine. I'll have internet. I'll have my laptop with me. I can do like whatever I want. But I would prefer to not necessarily have to keep paying, which is not a ton of money, but have to keep paying, my rent, my monthly rent on this condo, and double pay for a 2-week stint, down in Samui, which is hardly the cheapest place, in the world. It's cheap, but it's not Phuket expensive, but it's expensive. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't really feel like doing that. So that was kind of like how Cha Am was. So I'm talking to the guy at the bus and I said, well, where's the bus go? And of course I didn't say it this way. I said, bus and go where, right? I mean, how you talk over here. Mainly because I know no Thai. And that's, and the bus station, kind of similar to the train station. It's pretty Thai. And there are some foreigners, and again, it's in Bangkok, so you're gonna get more people that do in fact speak English or know English. But for the most part, like there are places where I go, like if I go to any mall and I walk up to somebody, they do not give me a Sawadee Cup or Sawadee Ka. They're like, hi. It's quite obvious I'm not native. And so anyway, you walk in there and they're like, Sawadee Ka, and I'm like, oh God, what do I do now? Because I don't know. I know how to say the cities, but I don't know how to say, bus start, end time. Pretty much they have signs everywhere, which is fine. And so anyway, so I say, okay, Prachop Kurikan. And he's like, no, not go. I said, okay, Cha Am. He says, yeah. Now, usually when buses go down to Cha Am, that simply means that buses are heading south to Hua Hin and they stop in Cha Am. So I'm like, okay, so, if you don't go down to Prachop Kurikan, how far do you go? He's like, I go to Hua Hin. So I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. There's a 7 o'clock bus. There's a 9 o'clock bus. Okay, these are like reasonable times I could get there. There's no worries. So I come home, I open my laptop, and I say, okay, well, what if I had to take a train from like Hua Hin down to Prachop Kurikan? And it pops up, and rarely in the last like several months have I said, okay, origin, destination, and it will list more than one train. Like it'll list like the 9 trains that go there, but it's like they're all, postponed because there's like only one route. Well, this had 2 trains. There was one that went from Hua Hin, and it was leaving at so it would go from Hua Hin at like 8:30, and then it would end up in Prachop Kurikan at 9:44. So I'm thinking, all right, well, I can't like slip into Hua Hin by 8:34 in the morning. There's no way, unless I somehow bang up against the rails of the 4 a.m. curfew, get in a taxi, go down there, and then make it Sekeke. But there was this train that leaves Hua Hin at 11:47 and gets in at 13. That gets in at like 1:30. And I checked it online, and it was scheduled to get into Hua Hin at 11:47, and it got in at 11:50. And I'm like, oh, this is an express. This could work out well. But then I'm thinking, all right, well, where does this thing start? Like Hua Hin? No. It starts in a train station up here that's referred to as Bangkok Noi, or Thonburi, Thonburi. So I'm like, I've never heard of this Thonburi place. So I look it up on the map. Turns out I can get to it basically by taking the MRT. And I'm like, okay, well, this is almost as cool as Hualong Pong. Like, what's up? I mean, I'm figuring, okay, small train station. I did the Google Maps and I drugged the guy up there and I looked down the street. Yeah, it's old and it's, weathered. So I'm like, all right, well, I got nothing going on this afternoon. So after I got off the phone with Billy, I took a little bit of a nap, got it, and it got like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So it started cooling down and I head over to Thonburi. And I say to the guy, Patrap Kurikan, he says, yeah, only one train, though, leaves 7:50. I said, oh, I thought 7:30. And he said, yeah, 7:30. And I do the same thing. Like I was just in the elevator and I forgot how to say the number 10, for God's sake, in Thai. Sip. Because the woman says, oh, what floor? And trust me, she said it in perfect. Most of the Thais that live in this building, once they see me coming, their English is just bam. That's all they do. They don't even. So anyway, she said, what floor? And I said, Hawk? It's like, no. I said, wait, Pasa Thai 10. She goes, Sep. I said, oh my God, Sep. Sorry. Anyway. So the point is that like me, that guy said the number 30. Sorry, he said the number 50 when he meant 30. And I do that all the time here. I say left when I mean right. I say sai qua instead of left, right. Anyway. So he says, yeah, 7:30. And I said, oh, okay. I said, and then he said, oh, yeah, we have this other train. And they've got like 9 trains that go in and out of this depot. And I'm thinking, this place is great. I said, why is everyone going over to Hualong Pong? I said to him, because there's no trains over there. He said, yeah, only one train per day. And it leaves at 5 a.m. And I said, exactly. I said, unless you live close, like, how do you get there in time because of the curfew at 4? And so we just kind of joked back and forth. And he gave me the time thingy, right? So I am like, oh my God, dude, I got trains.com all up in this. And so I'm thinking, this is fantastic. So I got my backpack ready. I didn't buy the ticket, but get this. The ticket is 56 baht for a 4-hour train ride, bro. Now, again, it's basically on the same train. I mean, I wasn't expecting luxury in the other one. There's no air conditioning. But the cool thing is that because of the social distancing, there's not going to be anyone sitting in front of me. So I got leg room. And if I have leg room, I am good. And I know exactly what, since I'm going down there in the morning, I know to be sitting on the right side of the train because the sun will be coming up, pummeling everyone on the left side of the train. And I don't believe there are assigned seats. So I'm going to go back to this place. I'm going to get on the BTS at about 6 in the morning. By about 7 in the morning, I'll be walking towards the Thonburi, Thonburi station. And I'll be able to get my 7:30 ticket. As I was walking there this evening, they have an Amazon cafe over there, and I love Amazon coffee because it's like literally twice as good and half the price compared to Starbucks, which is not saying much, but it's good. And so I'm like all psyched. So tomorrow, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be getting up. I'm going to take the train down to Krachao Kurikan. I anticipate being there midday, probably, maybe like I'll probably get there by about, the train is scheduled to arrive in Krachao Kurikan at 1:50. If I get there before 3, I'm psyched. And I know exactly where I'm going to stay. It's the hotel that I had to forfeit the reservation for today, basically. And what I'm hoping, because they have a massive special, it's like 60% off, and it's like beach, it's like you get a balcony. In fact, this is one room with 2 balconies. So it's like the front balcony and the side balcony, and they both look out over the thing. And they both look out over the beach, over the water. So anyway, I'm pretty excited about that because, I want to get out and, I'm not really sort of, getting stir crazy or anything, but if I have the opportunity to go to the beach, I'm doing it. So that is going to happen tomorrow. I'm very excited about it. Now, I got 2 battery packs. I got a bunch of extra cables. I got a backup phone. I got my gimbal. Okay. And I got a tripod or little, tripod for the base. So with that said, I'm going to try because I've been on the train before. And I mean, I've been, watching YouTube videos, streaming like pretty much the whole way. And, there's not like a ton of big trees like blocking it or anything like this. And so there's pretty much 4G LTE the whole way. So I'm going to try and do a live stream from the train. Now, the sound is going to be imperfect. There's no way I'm traveling with this microphone and this mixer, right? But I'm going to give it a shot. If it's lousy, I'll probably stop, but I'm going to see if I can do it because I got battery and everything. So who knows? Considering I'm kind of a long stream guy, I don't know if I'll do a 5-hour live stream for like the minute I get on the train to the minute I get off and hit the beach, but who knows? That might be fun, so I may try that. Now, before I mess up and completely blow you guys off, Aztec says, "Oh wow, yeah, no, all the taxis are Grab drivers now." Yeah, well, no, not true, but many are, and I'll tell you, I friggin' love it because a taxi cab will come up, and you can do a couple things. You can get in, and then you just say meter, or you can take your Grab app and you can scan the guy's QR code, and bam, now you've got that thing, and then you just pay him with your phone. That's what I love because yes, it's a cash society. I carry plenty of cash when I cruise around, but I really love to be able. I use this thing at 7-Eleven. I use my True Wallet, and it's just like, boop, and I pay and I leave. It's freaking awesome. I love it. So anyway, yeah. So, but I'll tell you, the Grab thing over here, they did a great job. And to be fair, I mean, there was Uber here. I mean, I started taking Ubers in Bangkok long before Grab bought them out. Patrick says, grab a hotel the night before near the train station. Yeah, I suppose I could do that, right? If I wanted to do Hua Lumpong. And in fact, moving forward, because it is the more main one, of course, I might consider that. But as it moves forward and more, because that's the other thing I want to talk to you guys about. Bangkok is coming back to life. Absolutely. Meaning, there is way more traffic than I'd like. So it is absolutely coming back. But there's going to be trains that go at like a kind of a reasonable hour. But that is a good point. And I considered that. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. This is Patrick. Good to see you. And Caesar, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, Paul. He asks, are the national parks open yet? I think not. Officials thinking recovery. Yeah, it's well, okay, so I don't know about the national parks. Places like Lumpini and that sort of thing for exercise are open. So, I mean, you probably can't go camping, but like down in Cha Am, there's a park that Gracie and I just like walked around. I actually did a video on that when we were down there, and it was great. It was a nice place to just walk around, and as far as I know, that's open for that sort of thing. But and then Daniel says, every time you say Samui, I think Meet the Parents. Very nice. Oh, fancy. Aztec 56 baht flap. I knew they were cheap. Yeah, it's ridiculously cheap. I did actually do a video the first time Gracie and I ever rode a Thai train. And to take and it was just like from Cha Am down to Hua Hin, and I think it's like 27 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that. And the reason I'm saying 27 because it was 27 baht. For both of us. And I was like, you got to be kidding. I mean, this is so no money to get on a train. And I said, so this is going to be great. So I'm very excited. I mean, again, it was 208 baht for the previous silly ticket that I had to forfeit, but whatever. It's all part of life. And yeah, indeed, $2 baht. Yeah, it's no money, dude. It's free. Basically to get down there. It's going to cost me more to take MRT and BTS to get over to the train station. That's going to take me less than an hour to do that whole thing with like the two types of. So I'm going to spend, what will I spend? I'll probably spend 58 baht on one of the legs and then probably, so I'll spend like well over 100. I'll spend about 120 baht to get there in 1 hour. And then to get on a train that will take me 4 hours. I have to spend 50. I was just like, you guys are amazing. And of course, before I get on there, I'm going to go buy a silly coffee at Cafe Amazon or Amazon Cafe. And the one that I like is the mocha frap, which is 70 baht, right? So I'm going to spend more on my silly beverage than it's going to be. Oh, and that's the other thing too. So when they get to a train station, like people come on and they have like baskets of food, right? And then they don't, check to see if they have a ticket. They just get on, they walk up and down the train and they sell you these bags of fruit and food, and some of them sometimes they have soup. I'm like, bro, it's 107 in this train. I don't want any soup. But they have water, of course, and they sell those things, and then they get off at the next station, and then they go across, or they have their buddy on a motorbike driving back to it's just amazing how this whole marketing occurs. The free market that occurs inside of the train. I just absolutely love it. Bubba Chang, good to see you. I got me a pair of binoculars and a whistle to catch people not wearing masks and not social distancing. Good for you, man. I fully support that. Absolutely. I go outside and God, you know what, guys, the only person I was out today twice. I went out this morning walking around and then I went back out like at 4:30, crap on it. I'm walking. I'm all over the public transportation. I'm on the sidewalk. I'm on the back alleys of where before this train station shows up. I get back to I'm coming back to my condo, and just about 5 minutes before I'm on the sidewalk, before I get into the parking lot, the only person I've seen in this entire time not wearing a mask, friggin' white guy. And I was just like, dude, really? Like, can't you just play like with the cool kids here? It's just, it's the equivalent of not wearing a shirt, even in a beach city, and walking into a restaurant in Thailand. Oh, you're not going to get thrown in jail, but you just don't do it, dude. And I just was like, you know what? This is just, of all the people, the only person I saw all freaking day. And I was like, you're so incompetent. Like, can you not just, anyway? And I think the thing that really bothers me about it is I'm really frustrated and I'm saddened because a lot of my friends their level of frustration is really starting to peak in the United States. I can't speak to any of you guys that are already over there, but my friends that have messaged me, they're like, okay, I'm in a mall and like meaning their posts on Facebook. People aren't wearing their mask. There's they don't watch the international news. When you're in the United States, you watch the U.S. news. Okay, I get it. And unless you're like us, right? And you're an international person and you're interested in others. But for the most part, people just, they watch Boston news, and if it goes international, they're like, yeah, I mean, Syria is not Africa. What are they going to do in the next, 2 decades? Will they even be relevant? China. How's that economy going? Right. So anyway, they're really, and so I'm like, this is really bad. I mean, anyway, so they asked me, they're like, well, how's it going over there? I mean, Thais, they're like really close. And I've heard that, they have massage parlors and everything. I mean, like, what are they doing over there? Like, how many dead people you got? I'm like, 56, bro. They're like, oh, today? I'm like, no. The same amount of people over here in Thailand have died from COVID in this amount of time frame as the number of people who have died in Thailand for accidents involving electric toasters. Like, it's irrelevant. Okay. Like they follow the rules. You should have seen. Hold on. Let me show you this video that I took earlier today. When I was in the MRT and the BTS. Okay. And everyone's like lining up because you need to keep a safe distance. But you need to, you need to queue up and then you need to wait and then you need to queue up and you got to wait. And I got to tell you, I mean, if I wasn't over here and it was happening in the US, there's a high likelihood I would have been pissed off because it wasn't going my way or whatever. And potentially they were, messing with my constitutional rights. You can see that I obviously said that with emotion, so I apologize. But in any case, let me see if I can find this thing that I did earlier today. And it was, it's just so orderly. And I just look at it, and because of the results, and I'm just like, God, these ties are just awesome, and, you can't argue with the results. And everything's going pretty darn good over here, guys. All right. So today's the 20th, and I was down there at approximately, I want to say I was down there about 5:30. Let me see if this is the one. And then I'll share. Yeah. Okay. So here's the first one. Let me see if I can do this. Let me do share screen and Chrome tab. And it's probably going to jitter a little bit because when you stream video through Dropbox, it's not stellar. But let's give this a watch. Oops, sorry. Let's give this a watch, Mr. Technology. Everyone just wait. Look at the guy. Guys, there's no noise. Everyone just waiting there, orderly. I mean, and this is like 5:30. Like, everyone wants to get home. I just like, And then, okay, so we're waiting there, right? So we're waiting there. Basically, we're waiting at the top of the stairs. You come to the stairs and you need to go down into the BTS, like right there, right where that guy's headed cold brew. There's stairs there. There's escalator to the right. And, there's an announcement on the PA system, but nobody's like bitching. Nobody's asking, well, when am I going to be able to get through? Blah, 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 blah. It's just so orderly. So I'm like, you guys are awesome, right? So then, let me stop sharing and let me go back here. So that was that one. And then after you get down the stairs, you kind of got to do it again. And I'll show you here what I mean by that. Shoot, that's not the one I want to share with you. Because I took some of the train to show Gracie. Yeah. Okay. So now you get. So hold on. Let me make sure I'm sharing this correctly. Nope, I'm not. Share screen and boom. Okay. So this is now downstairs, and the entryway into the gates, right where you go, boop, is off to the right. So everyone's like standing there, and they're waiting. Oh, hold on. That like was pretty lousy quality. Here you go. Everyone's just waiting. And so then like we all move forward, and then they're like, no, everyone's got to space out. And everyone's like, oh, okay. And then they just like space out. They were spaced out. No. They were like, there wasn't a meter, between us. Trust me. But everyone was just like so orderly. And I don't know. You could say, oh, yeah, well, Mike, that's because you're a communist or whatever. But I don't know. I was just impressed with it. I was proud to be a part of it. I just felt like we were in the solution and everything was going. And then you walk through, and then there's a sensor, and it senses everyone's temperature as you're walking through. And there's a giant screen there. And basically, if you're over 37 and a half, the screen turns orange. It's like, hey, get a line. I've only seen the orange screen once, but luckily it wasn't me. So, so I got to tell you, man, I'm a big fan of Bubba Chang. I hope he goes out there and keeps everyone in line. Aaron says, Bubba, now you need to go upgrade to a drone and a bullhorn. See, you guys get me. That's what I'm talking about. Patrick, 5 hours. Yes. Right. Come on. at the end of the day, so I like trains. Okay. I like trains. I like train rides. Because they're a novelty. Like I don't do them, right? Like I don't commute that way. Okay. So like when I get to do, and so these are not, there's no like padding on these seats. This is like, it's not fully 90 degrees. It's about 94. So there's not a whole lot of recline. And again, if it wasn't social distancing and there was someone right in front of me, like my knees extend from the bottom of my seat to the next seat, because it's designed for people that are, I don't know if I just glitched then. If I did, I'm sorry. I just hit refresh or something, and it may or may not have done something annoying. But in any case, let me get rid of restream here because I don't need that tab either. Limit my bandwidth. I'm chewing up here. So I'll give that a shot, guys, tomorrow. And I'm not going to do a video like as I'm walking out because it's going to be, I'm going to leave here probably about 5:45. And I think get on the thing at 6. So I'm not going to make a whole lot of noise getting out there. But you've seen BTS scenes before. I don't think you need to do that. Bubba Chan says, yes, thank you. I'll go straight away to purchase one in the morning. Attaboy. Love it. Carl, New York City, and Cebu. Good to see you, my friend. Like watching you live with your big mic, like watching a radio station with someone who is intelligent. Wow. Okay, who just paid Carl? Like, I don't see any super chat, but did you guys just like huck him some PayPal? Thank you, Carl. I appreciate that, man. I'm honored. Thank you. Train super cheap. Try the tart mango with sugar. So here's the thing with that, Caesar, is I have done that. And ever since then, because they give you like a bag of sugar, right? It's because you can get like, mango and sticky rice. That's the sweet mango. And then you can get the tart mango. And then they usually give you that bag of sugar, which to me looks like crystal meth because it's like this pink, flavors that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to, but I'm sure it's not yaba. But the point is that, it's just like this crystal sugar. And I've tried it before. Gracie loves it. She gets it and she like dips the thing in the sugar and she eats it. And she always makes this face like she's like, it's really sour. And I'm like, that's not a face of enjoyment. Like, I don't know if I can do that with you. You know, I mean, I can watch you and make fun of you, of course, and I can support you the whole way and take pictures and then send them to my buddies. And then we can all laugh at you. But, they're okay. But I mean, there's so many other pieces of fruit in Thailand that I prefer that probably have infinitely more sucrose in it. That's just like, it's going to wake me up too. Aaron says, so much news, staying stupid, Farang, not wearing masks, getting people sick. Yeah, I mean, again, to be honest, I mean, I don't necessarily believe this guy was out there polluting the world and getting people sick. It's just that I've been coming over here enough to know that there's this level of sort of respect for the behavior, for the social norm, that for some reason I really like participating in. I don't know why. I mean, trust me, I've lived in the US a long time, and I would be like, hey, you're not going to tell me what to do. I've been in that scenario, believe me. But coming over here as I have for the last, almost decade, I really like, I guess for me, I just don't believe that they're asking me to do anything unreasonable. And again, I mean, the results, I mean, dude, it's just like, I mean, how many people are infected in total? Like 4,000? I don't know. I mean, anyway, I'm not going to get into that, and I'm not going to get into politics, and I'm not going to what I'm going to go is I'm going to get into me being on vacation, and hopefully you guys get your butt over here too, so we can all hang out and have a smoothie. So anyway, Carl, hoping the trains in Bangkok will be like New York City, where you can be on BMT, IRT, and IND lines and cross over at no extra cost. Yeah. So the downside there, Carl, is it is not like that here. They have fantasized about having one card to be able to use that to pay for everything. Like in Hong Kong, for example, you have an octopus card. You can go to 7-Eleven with your octopus card. You can buy a smoothie. You can get on the train. You can get on the bus. You can go into it's Hong Kong. Okay. I mean, don't forget, Hong Kong used to be infinitely more modern than China. Now you cross the river and you go into Shenzhen and they're like, octopus card. They're like, dude, everybody uses their phone. Like, don't you have WeChat Pay? It's like, oh my God. So China's got their act together in some areas. Trust me, there's a lot of personal freedom that I kind of bang up against the rails on that one. But nonetheless, it's you will be hoping for a long time. You will need to, you have a different card if you want to use it on the bus, and pretty much nobody uses that. Pretty much everyone on the bus pays cash. And the MRT has their own card. It's blue. I have one of those. And then there's the Rabbit card. The Rabbit card is actually, there's a company called Rabbit, and the majority shareholder is the BTS. BTS is actually a private company. They have a lot of funding from the Thai government and administration and that sort of thing, but it is a private company. And unlike the MRT, which is part of BEM, which is also the company that basically maintains and does the toll roads. So yeah, it's a completely imperfect system, but at the end of the day, it's two cards I got to carry. And, I mean, I wish I could use True Wallet on my phone for everything, but for the most part, I can only use it like buying stuff at, some mom and pops for sure, but definitely like 7-Eleven and any of the sort of bigger places, they have the QR code. I mean, I could have paid my hospital bill with my phone. I could have just QR code instead of been, but Daniel says, and this surprises you? He was probably American. I have a feeling he was. He was certainly he was a Caucasian male. I'll say that. For all I know, he was German, but anyway. Caesar says 150,000 people die every day on planet Earth. COVID is flu, nasty, but flu. Yeah, I'm not going to get into debate over that. And trust me, I'm not saying that it's not overblown in some areas, but at the end of the day, all it's doing is making it more difficult for me to get to the beach. But the good news there is hopefully I've had at least a good story about how I'm going to finally get there freaking tomorrow with my 5-hour live stream where that all you're going to hear is because the windows are all like if the windows aren't open, you die. Okay. What you pray for is that there is no impediment to the train going down the track at least like 60 kilometers an hour. Because if not, if there's no airflow, I mean, they have fans in the ceiling, but occasionally they'll shut off. Like occasionally you'll be in a train and all of a sudden, like all the electricity will go off. I mean, the motors underneath work, you know, and the thing's moving. But like, I mean, I'm not talking for like, you know, in a subway or something, like you go underneath a thing or whatever, and you know, the lights go off for like, I don't know, 4 seconds. And if we're anything longer than that, people be like, what's wrong? And then they come on back on or whatever. I'm talking about like 15 minutes. You know, and you're sitting there, you're looking at this fan, you're like, oh my God, that was just blowing air on me. And I was able to survive because at least I'm sweating so significantly that I got like this, you know, swamp cooler going on. So at least that the water, you know, that is blowing on me, it's constantly like, you know, decreasing my temperature the way God planned it. But, you know, nonetheless, it's imperfect. But Carl says no dry air, no winter either, no flu. Yeah, influenza. Wait and see. Yep, wait and see, my friend. Polarizing subject. Change subject. Thank you very much. I completely agree. On the point of how orderly they are, it's pretty much them 24/7 is probably my biggest love of Thailand. Everyone is respectful. Avoid confrontation. I've never seen a single blue in BKK. I hear you, man. There's a lot to be said for what they do. It's the reason I live here. It's one of, sorry, there's many, but that's, yeah. How many people died of the flu in Thailand last year? So that's tough to say. You could Google it, but I bet it would probably be inaccurate because the way that they would report that wouldn't necessarily be from the flu, because it's not as classified over here as it is there, meaning the United States. So I'll just say that. Oh yeah, because I don't want to have to like make people moderators and whatever. Namaste. Well done, Daniel. Take off the mask and exhale. It's war. Carl's comment, Mike. He said, like someone who's intelligent. Nice. Well played, sir. Well played. Every Farang should wear a mask out of respect to the locals. Yeah, I mean, I will tell you right now that it doesn't take much medical data to convince me that it's not, you know, that it's effective, but it's not incredible, you know. But yeah, I do it because, well, for one, there's signs everywhere that say, hey, look, and then you look at everyone around you and you're like, okay, well, you know, I mean, it's not like those things that your mom used to say, well, you know, Michael, if everyone else jumped off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge too? It's like, no, Mom. I mean, I get where the, you know, the rhetoricalness of that is, but anyway, I like fitting in that way. Up until this mask thing, I also liked like not raising my voice. I had a tendency to do that. It's rare, but you know, I mean, I would get to a point, right? And then I'd be like, listen, you know, kind of thing. And I just don't do that here. Now, again, when I started coming over here, I'm on vacation. Okay. Like only on vacation. Fantasizing that I would live here someday, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, I was on vacation. So it's kind of like, yeah, well, you know, if my plane's late like an hour and a half, like, what am I going to be late for my meeting with the beach? Am I going to be late for my meeting with the sunrise? Or there might be one tomorrow, you know, kind of thing. So in any case, I like it here. I like it here. I hope you like it here. So anyway. Buffalo Sick, good to see you. Have you seen that inspiring YouTuber Ben Newton channel in Pattaya? I have not. I could Google it, I suppose. The newest sort of channel from Pattaya I've seen is that guy. I believe his name is Ian, and I think his channel name is like Ian Ozo or something like that. He's a nice regular guy, and he's just kind of sharing his experience over there, and I believe he's from Australia, and yeah, he's the only new one that I know of. Aztec says, quoting Carl, I like watching you with your big mic, like watching a radio station with someone who's intelligent. Meaning, it's like watching a radio station. But the intelligent thing, let's face it. I mean, don't misplace your modifier, buddy. Like watching a radio station. Okay. I can't wait for the trains to run in Ho Chi Minh City. Let me tell you something about Ho Chi Minh City. That place blew me away because I came there with some expectations, meaning that I had some preconceived notions of what it might be like. Now, I knew it wasn't going to be a rice field, and I knew that they had like technology there and innovation and that sort of thing and buildings and everything. But I had no idea. I mean, they built 7 buildings in less than 2 years. They're putting in, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, I believe it is a 7 or 8 stop SkyTrain, and they're doing it in like 4 years. I mean, it's just, what the, how's that even possible? I mean, it's just like really impressive. And so, and how long is it going to take Thailand to do the high-speed rail from Bangkok? I mean, it's like 12 years, for God's sake. And there's like maybe 4 stops, you know, and they own all the damn land. They don't have to do any eminent domain or something like they would have to do the United States. Oh, we got to negotiate with the, you know, got to put this freeway in. It's going to take us 17 years to, you know, so anyway. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to be a real big benefit. Some of the trains that, I mean, again, Gracie and I had a really great time in the trains. And if she was here, we would be training. And, but I think one of the things I want to do when this all sort of, well, you know, the other thing I was thinking about doing, guys, if I couldn't go down to the beach, is going up to, I may pronounce it wrong, but I'm going to say Ayutthaya. So it's either that or Ayutthaya, whatever, the infamous old capital, right? Because I think the train ride there was like an hour from Bangkok, and I believe that one does leave from Hua Lumpong, and it leaves like at a reasonable hour, meaning I could get there before I'd have to even discuss, you know, the curfew, you know, in any of the sort of plans that I would have. Aztec says you don't like the Icon Siam side of town, Mike. So interestingly enough, I was actually over there recently. I was at Siam. No, okay, that's right. I know. Okay, you mean over by on the other side of the river? Yeah, Icon Siam is the new one, right? Like right across the street. I almost said right across Chao Prai from Asiatique, right? Yeah. So I do like it over there. What I like about here, though, is that it is so easy for me to get to the BTS. I'm also on a well enough known street in a well enough known condo, meaning that like all the taxi cab drivers like know where I live. Meaning if I say, hey, I live at this condo, they're like, oh yeah. Because it's not a main street. Okay. But it's like, because Udam Suk is much more of a main street, and that's south of here. But where I'm at, and it's near True Digital Park, which is a very large complex. It's been here for a while. So it's got like these landmarks. Now, again, if I'm living near Siam, or Icon Siam, it's not like I can't say, like I could literally walk out in the street and just say Icon Siam, and 17 like motorbike taxi guys would just drive up and be like, yeah, we know where you're going. And I've gone there. We've gone there via BTS. No, I'm sorry. How did we go there? I believe we definitely took the BTS at some point to get over there. But we also did the ferries, you know, and that's pretty cool, right? I mean, the boats that go up and down the Chao Prai, that's fun. Gracie and I like doing that. It's totally inefficient to get to some places where I go on it, but I like doing it just because, again, it's a novelty. It's fun. And, you know, as long as you don't get splashed by the dirty water too much, it's kind of like, it's okay. And you're not up in the open ocean. You're not, oh, look at this Andaman Sea. Wow, beautiful salt water. It's cleansing my skin. It's like, no, bro, this is the Chao Prai. Stay away. Stay back from the water. Stand back from the water. It is easily 30% cooler over there, 24/7. That's interesting. Blew me away, all the new BTS lines that are Okay, tell me about it, Aztec. When I first got here, the farthest that the BTS went where I'm at was Bering. And I think it goes it's at least 7 stops past that now. And then northbound, I mean, you know, and they're putting in a completely additional line so that you're going to be able to go all the way to Don Muang, right, on the BTS, which is kind of funny, really, if you think about it, because I mean, the train already goes to Don Muang. I mean, SRT, right? The State Railway of Thailand. It's imperfect. It's not with any degree of sophistication like the BTS will be, and that will absolutely transform that whole airport. In fact, one half of the airport, if you don't know, this one guy has the contract to do all of the revamping, and they're going to make it a giant repair shop, basically, for planes. And then, of course, they have the international terminal that'll continue to be the international terminal for a while. But yeah, I like it over there. I just mainly the reason I'm in this part of Bangkok, because I mean, let's face it, there's like 50 different parts of Bangkok, right? Like there's Bang Kapi, you know, and then there's like I'm in Bang Na, basically, or the Udom Suk area. If it were 3 years ago, I would be living up near Prakanong because that was, or Ekamai, because that was sort of a more startup kind of culture related place. And I'm kind of into that. And so the main reason I'm down here is because of True Digital Park, because it is truly the largest co-working incubation type, you know, place all in one place in Southeast Asia. Now, that doesn't mean that like within 200 square feet is the next size. Okay. So, I mean, it's not like Singapore is no slouch as it relates to people starting companies and becoming, you know, globally relevant. Okay. So, and to your point, so is Ho Chi Minh City, man. So is Ho Chi Minh City. They got to figure out a couple of things and do it a lot better. Not the least of which is the being able to roam on your cell phone and just like show up and be able to like get online and do stuff. They got to figure out a solution to that because you got to buy a local SIM if you want data, and you can't roam. The next thing is banking. They got to figure out a better, they got to, I mean, it doesn't have to be as transparent necessarily as we got. Well, no, I'm sorry. And by transparent, I'm not meaning that like, you know your customer and they like, you know, have the thing, but it's so simple to do banking in Bangkok. I mean, it's literally like banking in the United States, but with like multicolor ATMs. It's super easy. And I can move money in and out of here all day long. It's so easy to move. So, I don't need the affiliate link or whatever, but if you guys have ever heard of TransferWise and you've ever moved money over here, I started using TransferWise just after it got out of beta, because that was right when Richard Branson was really visible about the fact that he was like really backing this company, right? So there's this TransferWise, and of course about 7 of them all sprouted up at the same time. There's TransferWise, there's Remitly, and of course there's always been Western Union, which is ridiculous with the fees. PayPal, you can move money really fast, but of course the exchange rate they give you is ridiculously low. It's offensive actually. But TransferWise, they were basically sitting there saying, okay, we're in this for the long haul. So the way that we're going to move money really fast is we're going to take the money from that person, and even before we get it, we may even pay it out. So that was a gamble, but they've done it so well. And now they're at the point where they've got economies of scale. So they literally have like a bank, like they have an escrow type bank scenario. And guys, I mean, I'm not joking. What's today? Wednesday? Maybe Friday. Less than 2 weeks ago for sure. Maybe 10 days ago. I moved money with TransferWise from the United States to my bank here in Bangkok. It took 6 seconds. I mean, I was like, oh my God, did I just do this on the Ethereum blockchain? Like, how is this? To do that on the Ethereum blockchain, I would have had to have thrown so much gas at it. I would have been like, yeah, I mean, the response rate would have been outstanding, but it would have cost me, you know? And so I was just really impressed with it. I mean, again, there was a fee, but I got to tell you, man, if you're searching around for a solution now, I will tell you that only works with some banks. It takes me longer to move money into Bangkok Bank than it does to Capricorn. And I don't necessarily know. I've had that account longer, and I've probably moved more money from the U.S. into that bank over the course of the last, half a dozen years than I have into Bangkok Bank. So there may be some sort of level of caching in the sense that they're like, okay, well, we've done this before. Like this transaction, like we could do it blindfolded kind of thing. We've done it before. We know how it works. We know the authentication. We know the acknowledgement. We know the two-way communication. Who knows? But man, I was like 6 seconds. Are you kidding me? Like, I mean, it took me longer to log in and push the buttons. Anyway, so that's my deal on that. But you can't do that in Vietnam. And if you're a VC fund or if you're an angel investor, you really don't want to be distracted by any little bit of noise about what's their banking system like. Because if you have to ask yourself that question, if you're an angel investor, you're off. I mean, unless you're just like, you know what, dude, I don't care. It's $1 million. I've got 10 billion. $1 million is a rounding error to me. I think your idea is really neat and I dig bald heads. Here's $1 million. I have zero expectation that I'll ever get it back. Giving you $1 million for your project is the equivalent of me throwing $1 million in a fireplace, which one could argue is, yeah, it has to be your default setting if you're an angel investor. Anyway, however, I would submit that they gotta get a better way to get money in and out of Vietnam to be relevant in the startup ecosystem that is over here. Now, I'm talking about with the U.S. You can move money from Vietnam to China all day long. I mean, China's, they're pretty ingrained in Vietnam, and that could be a big deterrent for some people as well. But I've just been super impressed. So to the guy who brought that, I completely agree, dude. It's absolutely amazing. Drummer Chicago, good evening to you. Good morning to you. How you doing, man? Daniel says, saw a report today, Vietnam has the most air pollution parts per million than any other country in Southeast Asia, even beat China. Oh, yeah, okay, so India's not in Southeast Asia. That's fair. Well, I mean, okay, maybe. But I will tell you that, I mean, it depends, right? I mean, there were days that were blue sky here in Bangkok. And people were like falling over on the sidewalk in Chiang Mai. I mean, it's like 350 up there, man. I mean, it's just like, my God, that's like smoking 2.5 packs, like just sitting there, like in an enclosure, it's like, oh my God. But, it went away and many people will discuss it and complain about it. And then next spring we'll show up and they'll be out there burning the fields all over again, so. Who knows, man? I don't know what the solution to that is, but yeah, it's imperfect for sure. And I don't go to Chiang Mai. I should have gone up there actually to meet with some of you guys that were up there actually when I was up here. I missed that. That was a bummer. But Aztec says, yeah, I know it's strange, but boy, the availability of stepping on to transport soon is going to be amazing. Absolutely agree. You know what I was thinking about tonight? As I was coming home, I was because I get reports from Delta. I've been a big fan of the CEO of Delta for a long time. He is a world-class leader, and I've really appreciated the way that he runs his company, the way his culture has evolved, has matured, and has treated me as a customer who spends money, but also informed me of things that not many other airlines do. Now, Southwest is pretty good, but I mean, EVA is not sending me a monthly report of like what was on time, what wasn't on time, why it wasn't on time, what they did, how much money they spent on repairs, how many more people they hired, how many people they I mean, I feel like I'm getting a 10Q like every month from these guys. It's like, oh my God, dude. Anyway, it's refreshing for me. And, again, look, they're going to send out mass mails. Oh, by the way, we have HEPA filters in our airplanes. My God. My God, rewind your life 2 decades. No kidding, dude. HEPA filters have been out for years and they've been in planes for years. And what I love is people are like, oh, yeah, but that recycled air in the plane. Okay, dude. Yeah, it might be recycled, but let's be clear. It's recycled a minimum of 10 times an hour, okay? Usually, it's 30. Any new plane, they recycle that air 30 times an hour. So if you're worried about, like, recycled air, after, like, a 6-hour flight, it's like, look, dude, trust me. The freshest air in the world is up at 36,000 feet, and that's what they bring into the plane, okay? Because the amount of air that is necessary to squirt through that jet engine to get that much thrust, they've got a surplus of air, okay? So that comes in, it filters the air, and then it goes out through the HEPA filters. And if you don't know, the HE in HEPA filter stands for high efficiency. So believe me, the quality of the air in that plane is the best air you are going to be breathing throughout the process of you leaving your house getting into public transportation or in a car or outside in Bangkok, for God's sake. I mean, even in the airport, you know, I mean, obviously they have positive air pressure there to kind of, but it's not filtered like with HEPA, like it is in a plane. But man, anyway, so I was reading about that. You know, there's, oh yeah, we've got HEPA. Yeah, that's okay, great, I get it. And we're going to wipe down the trays and we're going to do all this. Everyone's got to wear a mask. But to the point I was getting to, which is no food. Like if I were to take Knock Air, I was thinking about taking Knock Air down to, because CB Media is doing that whole thing. And I was thinking, well, shoot, Knock Air, that's a great, fine low-cost airline. I'll cruise up to Chiang Mai, or I'll go down to, or maybe I'll go up to Udom, where he's at. Udom Thani. But I was like, okay, so I can't bring in my own water. They're not going to give us any food or water. Well, they might give us water. I don't know about that. But the point is that Delta tonight, and then they're brief, basically, is they were talking about how they're going to be giving you like bags of food depending upon the flight. And because the flight attendants aren't going to be like walking around like handing you stuff, and of course the middle seat's going to be blocked out there. They're going to be at 60% capacity, which is fantastic. I saw a recent picture from United Airlines, who I think is just totally incompetent, and this just rang. I mean, it just spoke volumes about how lame they are. Someone took a picture from a United Airlines flight saying, oh, cool, life's back to normal. And every seat is taken. The majority of the people were wearing masks, and the flight attendants, of course, were wearing masks. Some had the plastic shield. But, I mean, everyone's sitting right next to each other. And I'm just like, my God, you guys don't get it. There's just some companies that just don't get it. Whereas Delta, I believe they get it. But my point is that I'm not saying the food is awesome, and I could probably suck it up. And even in 12 hours, I'd be like, well, as long as I stay hydrated, I'll be fine. I mean, I might get hungry, but, I mean, it's the middle of the night. It's overnight flight. I'll watch like 3 or 4 movies and I'll sleep fine. But I think there's a lot of people that would seriously reconsider coming over here to Southeast Asia if they were like, okay, so the shortest flight I could possibly take would be, I think the shortest hop you can take is 10 and a half or 11 hours. And in fact, it's longer going here. Oh no, wait, is that right? Is it longer going here or coming home? I can't remember. Anyway, regardless, it's like, because I hopped through, South Korea or Taiwan. So it's a little bit longer. If you stop in Japan, it can be a little shorter. Bottom line is you're looking at like 10 hours in the silver tube with no food. And I'm thinking, because you can't bring your own on, I mean, maybe that'll change, but I'm thinking, man, that's going to be, oh yeah, everything's opening up. Great. I can book a flight on EVA or ANA, or I can get over here on, code share with United or South, Korean Air or whatever. Great. Spoiler alert. You better like stock up, man. You better like do some carbo loading at that airport in Los Angeles or San Francisco, or heaven forbid you're coming over from Chicago or Boston or New York, and you just like, I mean, that's a 13-hour commitment of starvation, man. That could be tough. So I don't know what that's going to do, but we shall see. Carl says labor is like the USA years ago, building their railroads and such with the Empire with the Empire State Building. They built a floor every day. Isn't that crazy? A floor every day. I mean, you got to hand it to these guys. Caesar asks, do I like museums? I do. Some of them. I'm not a big art guy. Like when I see like a painting on the wall, there are some people that will stare at those forever, and they can really appreciate it, and it gives them joy, and they can analyze it, and they can have very mature, intelligent Aztec discussions about it, and they love it, and that's great. And I'm not into that. Now, sculptures, I can kind of appreciate that, and I kind of like it because there's, at least in my mind, there's some degree of sort of engineering. There's like some physical movement of something, and certainly like a Mobius strip, for example. Like the guy who first did that, I'm like, that's pretty cool because it's so elegantly simple, right? I mean, so that kind of sculpture I get into. I'm not really into like the old things, like Michelangelo's David and that sort of thing. But there are some things that I think are pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of like statues of really like important or smart people or something like that. I mean, I will say, though, as an exception to that, the Lincoln statue, for some reason, I guess in my hometown, we had a very small version of that because the Lincolns actually spent some time in my hometown family. And so, yes, there's that massive one in Washington, and I've seen that, and his fingers are like this big. I mean, it's giant, right? It's like, it's kind of cool. But yeah, for some reason I like that one, but so I don't really like. Now the Smithsonian, I remember going that was pretty interesting. Science museums, that they have, like, I mean, if you're like at the Science Museum near MIT, that's a pretty good science museum. But like the Computer Museum in Bangkok, it's like, yay, an Apple IIe. It's like, okay, whatever. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm being a little bit cynical, but it's not like my favorite kind of thing. Brian, for months now, it has literally been saying, I even have the flyer. I can see it from here, for the Patong museum. Right. And in fact, I will do this, you guys, just so you know, because I don't think Brian's here. But Brian said, look, dude, cruise over to Patong Museum, buy 2 tickets, use one for yourself or whatever. Cause I mean, Gracie's like, we walked by there before and they told her what it was about. She's like, I don't know. That doesn't interest her at all. I mean, not just because it's in like this pseudo red light district, whatever. It's actually just a dump, Patong. Pat Pong. I'm sorry, Pat Pong. I was thinking Phuket. Pat Pong Museum over there in off of near Silom. Saladang. Anyway, so he's like, buy and just give them away, right, to people over here. And I said, well, okay, I'll do that. I mean, I'll do that when you guys can come over. I'm not going to, it's kind of like when I was living in San Diego, the radio station would give away tickets to San Diego. Like, oh, we're going to all expenses paid to San Diego. I'm like, bro, like, it's like a 45-minute commute for me, a 4-minute commute, but that's just like, come on. So yeah, that's what Sean Canfield. Hey buddy, what's going on? That's right. It's like in the morning there. So Sean's my buddy from San Diego. Sean's a great guy. I need Boost Oxygen in a can. Aviators, athletes, and mountain climbers use it. Not a plug for this product though. What's the other one? Celsius. Remember Celsius, Sean? That stuff was cool. You got me hooked on that. I used to go to the I want to say Ace, but that's not right. It was those nutrition stores, and I used to buy the Celsius. That stuff was pretty good. Mariano, good to see you, man. Good evening to you. I'm not quite sure where you are. It is evening here. Yes, indeed. So I'm not sure where you are. Carl says, Mike, to be pushy like a typical New Yorker, where did you go to school and work thereafter? So high school, I went just south of Boston, and then I started my bachelor's degree at the University of Massachusetts in electrical engineering, and then I transferred out to San Diego State University and finished up there. I did a brief stint at the University of California, San Diego, but I didn't like the quarter system. So I then finished up my electrical engineering degree at San Diego State. After that, I worked in radio. I'd already worked in radio since I was like 14, but I transitioned from being on the air and that sort of thing, and then just kind of fiddling with the knobs to actually being the engineer. So I had that first gig. I got my first gig as assistant chief engineer at a radio station when I was 24. Yeah, that's right. And so that was like my main job. Like I had a 9 to 5-ish, and I was there, and I was on call 24 hours a day. And it was an AM FM combo. Before that, I was just like, working like for $10 an hour, $15 an hour, for a couple others, 30. And these are in San Diego, by these radio stations in San Diego. And so I did that for a while. I did a stint in St. Louis working for an AM FM combo there. For 13 years. Sorry, 13 months. That's as long as I could last there. The people were amazing. I loved the people of St. Louis, the Midwest. They were just wonderful, wonderful people. But like I always say, the bottom line is every morning I woke up and I was in St. Louis. So I was like, So anyway, so I basically took a 50% cut in pay because my life was just like not going. I didn't like it there, to come back to San Diego. And then I was, again, assistant chief. And then I became the chief engineer and then the director of radio engineering for an AM FM TV combo that was there in San Diego. We also had AM FM TV in 2 cities in Illinois, Champaign, and another one that was like, I don't even think top 100 markets. We dumped those and cashed out, and then we did everything in cash for the stations that we had in San Diego. And I did that until 2001, and kind of an overlap for like my first last few years there, when I was at my last station as the director of engineering, I was messing around. Well, I did a couple of things. So I would, making the station stay on the air was the most important thing. But then I was also getting into a satellite radio because that started coming out. I got into streaming music online. In fact, I've had an internet radio station since 97, I think, and it's still streaming today. I did it at 28.8, and I was using Real Audio back then, if you remember that. But it's streaming now, and you can listen to it and stuff. It's just all the music is a total copyright infringement, but it's just for testing, so it's no big deal. So I was doing that for years, and then Napster came out, and of course that completely changed how music was sold and stolen and everything. And so we were doing that a little bit. I was doing podcasts back when no one knew what the hell a podcast was. Which, if you don't know, technically all it is, it's an MP3 file that's wrapped in XML, which is just the data. That's all a podcast is. But it's getting it to the user. That's the important part. And that they struggled with that for years. And only in the last maybe 5, maybe 10, if you're lucky, years have podcasts become popular. So that lasted until about 2001, which was about the peak of commercial broadcast radio, meaning the peak amount of money that people were generating. And so I kind of saw that. It wasn't like, oh my God, I predicted the future and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was kind of on the tail of that. I'm thinking, this isn't going to work for me. So I went down to Mexico, south of San Diego, of course, is Tijuana, but there's also the Baja. So I went down to San Felipe and Ensenada, and I started my own company. I was an internet service provider, but a wireless internet service provider. So I would buy backhaul from the guys and the main carriers, as well as use satellite backhaul in the middle of nowhere in the Baja, and I would have solar powered POPs, points of presence. So it would be, broadcasting Wi-Fi down there. And so I was doing that in Mexico for a while. And then it was pretty stressful because I was doing way too much myself. And I wasn't outsourcing enough. I was trying to, but I wasn't doing a good job of it. Then I got my job at the University of San Diego. At the same time, I was still consulting for radio stations and putting a bunch of them on the air with automation and that sort of thing. And I got it down to the point, I was so proud of me and my team when we did this. We put 40 radio stations on the air in 2 weeks through automation and that sort of thing. And we got it to the point where we didn't even have to have a skilled engineer. Someone could literally take this thing that we shipped them that had 2.5 weeks worth of programming on it. They could take it, bolt it into the rack, then cook it up to the transmitter, and they had a radio station that would run right then. And we did that with 40. It was just an amazing thing. And then right after that, literally 2 weeks after that, I started at University of San Diego. I was at the University of San Diego, and I ran the systems team for approximately 13 years, and then left there and came here. And so the systems team basically was a general IT department or a centralized IT department, which is actually kind of rare on university campuses. But I had a team of about 10 folks, plus or minus, depending upon hiring and that sort of thing. And so we were in charge of 4 data centers on campus. We then got another one in Phoenix. We did a lot of cloud. I was obsessed with the cloud. But unfortunately, I was also working with people that were antiquated in their thinking, and so that was very disappointing. So they kept us on premise. But yeah, so there was a lot of technology, a lot of fun along the way, and you maybe have not been here, but there was a time where I spent probably about a 6-hour live stream talking about my heyday of radio and how much fun I had in there. So hopefully that was the very long answer that you wanted. This woman, she reaches out to me and she says, hey, you don't have a lot of subs, but you're really influential on YouTube and, Facebook and LinkedIn and all this. I said, well, yeah, I used to do some stuff before. She says, well, we're having this month-long conference, but the last week in May, we'd like you to be on this panel to talk about YouTube. Because we also have this new platform coming out, right? And it's going to be a social media platform, and it's going to be, so I'm like, okay, so basically you took social media and you have a platform like StreamYard or, I don't know, Restream or Streamlabs or something like that. And so you can basically broadcast like I'm doing now with you guys in the browser, and you're going to do that. And then you're going to have a social media platform. Okay, fine. She says, but we really want you to beta test it. And I said, okay, that's cool. So I still do that, sort of on the side. But the point I'm making is that she said, well, tell me a little bit about yourself. And I'm like, how much time you got, lady? Because she's much younger than me too. I mean, she's like the marketing, business dev person, and so, she's in charge of basically bringing people in that they believe can highlight the fact that their company is awesome, provided they are. And a lot of people will just highlight the fact that they're awesome if you pay them. And I'm like, no, your technology needs to blow my friggin' hair back if you expect me to stand up on stage and talk about it. So anyway, so I go through this whole thing, and I said something to the effect of, yeah, so basically that's my elevator pitch. And she's like, that's a really long elevator pitch. I've said, no. Your building is too short. Trust me, that's a very excellent elevator pitch. You just don't hang out in the elevator long enough. So we'll see if they want me to beta test, meaning they'll see if they want me to judge their software. Daniel says Jetstream flows east always. Decreased time flying east. Thank you. I appreciate that. I knew I would have had to Google that afterwards. It would have bugged me. Patrick says the ceiling painting in the Sistine Chapel is amazing. I actually was going to bring that up. I agree with you on that one. It's amazing because it's amazing, but it's also amazing because of the way it was painted. That's freak. I mean, you want to talk a commitment, dude. That's amazing. Caesar says Thailand has the Natural Museum of Art and History. The Museum of Contemporary Art in San Diego is actually pretty good too. There's a shell museum on Phuket and a ceramics museum in Bangkok. And the Sukhothai, probably a museum for silk. Yeah. Open museum in the north. Opium museum in the north. Yeah. Big smiles from Sean Canfield, ladies and gentlemen. Carl, I've been seeing a bunch of messages. It says message retracted. I hope that you just like type something and then like deleted it or lost interest or something. I hope you're not like automatically getting blocked. That's why I say that, because I do have the window open here and I think it would tell me like if it was, because YouTube can be a little testy about that. So anyway, I just want to make sure it's you and you're not being that, you're not being squelched because you seem normal and i.e. part of the cool kids table. So I want to make sure that you're being heard here. There's no reason you shouldn't be. Let me just say that. Caesar says big museums in Ayutthaya too. One of the ships and another for gold and culture and more too. Yeah, I want to do the Ayutthaya thing. I mean, I get, it's not necessarily a museum, right? But, you walk in those old structures. I walk in those old structures and I say, God, I'm so small. I'm so finite. I'm so minuscule. I'm so insignificant, which is good. I mean, I don't want to be berated publicly, but every now and then, a little bit of ego check is just like, okay, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I helped build a house in Mexico, a house. You look at the pyramids and you're like, no, that was a lot more leadership shown there. That was a pretty big feat. You guys did a decent job with these things, making them perfect. Back then, if you will. Caesar says, is the Library of Congress online? Absolutely. Yeah. That was one of Google's initial sort of missions, basically. I mean, at the end of the day, Google wants to take, in air quotes, all of the world's information, index it, and make it available for free. If you have a copyright on something, you disagree with them on that. But that's actually part of what google.edu is. And so, and they basically want to make everything that is in a library available. And and then again, there's the debate on that, but yes, it absolutely is. But so if you're part of a university, like, so for example, if you don't know this, one of you guys, I think it might've been, was it you, Daniel? I think it might've been. He sent me an email or sent me a message recently. Someone sent me a message and their email address was .edu. So they still had their email address from when they either was in undergrad or worked there. And so I got my master's degree. That was another thing, Carl, too. I got a master's degree while I was at USD. So while I was there, I was a student, but I wasn't a full-time professor. I was a part-time professor. I was a lecturer. I was a keynote speaker kind of thing, but I never had class. I refused to grade homework. I like to kind of come in, swoop in, do my entertainment, and then leave as the students applaud versus, oh yeah, give me all of your papers and I'll spend my entire weekend grading them. Like, no, that is not happening. But That was a real honor, actually, is because I used to say to these kids, the kids, I mean, they're 20, right? But I used to be like, look, here's the thing. Because when you're in that sort of mode, you sort of, you come in and you display, or like I would do like 3 or 4 presentations in a row, or we would do like a weekend session for leadership or something like this. And one of the things I always used to say, because ultimately there would be at least one student that would be like, okay, old man kind of thing. Give us like, what's a piece of advice? And I would say, look, here's the thing. The beauty and the reason I teach this, and I basically do it for fun and for free, is the fact that you guys are young enough and naive enough to actually think that you're going to change the world, which means you will. So I need some of you to get your butt out there and cure cancer, because it is ridiculous that thing is still sitting around. I'm like, you need to figure that out ASAP. All of the other stuff, I guarantee you will figure out. There will be someone sitting in this room that a bunch of you in 10 years will be saying to all of your friends, oh my God, that guy was in my class in 2018. And he just sat there. He didn't make any noise. And now we refer to him as Zuckerberg part 2, So, I mean, change the world. And then the other thing I would always tell them is, I know that it is going to be very difficult for you to believe this, but there is almost zero risk that you could take today that you're not going to be able to come back from. And from the glasses of a 50-year-old dude, or at the time, 45-year-old guy, I really wish I had less fear and took a lot more risks when I was 25 and 30 and 35. Because, I mean, back then, I mean, you can lose it all. You can absolutely just say, I've got this idea. I believe in it with a passion. I can get some money from my friends and family maybe, but, take a third mortgage out on your house. If you believe that you've made a perpetual motion machine, go for it. Whoever you can get money from, get it. Beg, steal, borrow, make the world believe that you are the person that's going to save it. And don't worry. I mean, if you lose everything at 35, you can come back. Like, don't worry about it. And, had I listened and believed that when I was 25, 30, 35, there's always that little, especially when I was doing my business in Mexico, there was always that little thing that, I don't know. I mean, this could really bankrupt me kind of thing. And, I'm glad I took the risks that I took. I'm glad that I had the boundaries that I did. But there were a couple things that I really wish I did more of. Because at the time I was like, I'm not talking about like anything illegal or thinking, oh yeah, I might do this, but I might get caught. No. I'm talking about like really taking a risk and being like, I believe in this. I believe this is going to be the right thing to do. I should do this with 150% of my worth, of my money, of my means, of my items, and just go for it. And it's easy to say that at 50 because, I'm good now. Like I wouldn't risk a whole lot now. I might risk some. But, I've always been pretty risk tolerant, but I'm less risk tolerant at 50 than I could have been, than I should have been, maybe. I mean, I'm not going to should all over myself, but I mean, I think back and if there's anything that I can ideally try and impress upon or convince, I can't merely manipulate. I mean, everyone's going to make their own decisions. The hardest thing to do is to make someone else change their mind, right? But I think, being older, at least when they ask, unsolicited, I won't necessarily huck it over the fence. But, when they ask, it's like, if I can depart anything to you, just realize that, and I'll tell you, here's what makes me think that I obviously wasn't the only one to tell that to young people, right? But that they've really taken on this. During this stock market crash, like this absolute global financial cratering that's occurred, Robinhood, if you've ever heard of it, is simply an app that you put on your phone and it allows you to trade stock, is the short answer. And they have increased their, I want to say membership, I guess, basically, by 1,500%. Because so many young people are just like, Okay, well, yeah, the stock market's low now, but I mean, I'm just going to, whereas I got a little bit nervous. I'm like, it's going in the wrong direction. I'm like, this is 2008 all over again. And, I better cash out and hold the cash so that in 2009 I can buy. And then in 2010, I would be a complete genius, blah, 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 blah. But of course, it's a lot different now. It's not infinitely different. It's slightly different, but it's different. And so it's not 2008 and 2009 all over again yet. But to that point, it like really made me sort of feel good because I believe that there are young people out there that are taking risks that are like, well, you know what? I'm not necessarily going to buy Exxon Mobil like my dad's stock, right? But I'm going to invest the crap out of Beyond Meat, and so I think that's just really is really good to hear that there was some sort of risk involved. So that was kind of neat. And Carl, you are very welcome. Was there any doubt? Halfway there to Aztecs, guess of the stream length. Oh, you know what, dude? Suck it. Don't give me this. Don't squelch my creativity by mocking me. Actually, I did look at the 2 hours and 11 minutes, but more importantly, I looked at the 11:05 p.m. And while I don't need to get up and catch a train at 5 a.m., I do need to get up and catch a train at 7 a.m. Which, if you don't know this, I like to get places early. I never want to be late ever. And it's not just like a whole respect thing. I mean, it's just like I don't like to be stressed about anything. And I really have never kicked myself for being somewhere early and having to wait. And I've never run out of gas. I always have a spare tire. I don't have one laptop. I have 2 laptops. I travel with 3 phones. I have 2 battery packs. I have a ridiculous number of chargers. So anyway, but I only got the 1 bald head. So what are you going to do? But Carl, darn Mike, you are successful. I imagine it was not like that all your life. You were not born with us. No, absolutely not, Carl. I mean, again, look I didn't worry about where my next meal was coming from. My dad was wildly successful. And he is brilliant. He was a computer consultant before people knew what that meant. Like they would, well, what's your dad do? Oh, he's a computer consultant. They're like, what? Like, where does he work? Oh, he has his own business. What? He doesn't work for a company? I mean, this is in the 80s, right? I mean, he's just starting your own business and so anyway, so yeah, he was wildly successful. And, if any of you have ever used the Gillette razor, then you have experienced some of my dad, meaning that he helped write some of the machine code that basically goes into the machine that makes the razors. Okay. And yeah, you can do that now with an AWS account, and you can write, I just forgot what I was going to say VoIP, but that's totally wrong. The edge of the net, basically things. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot the 4-letter abbreviation for that. And it's such a buzzword, but regardless, you can write that code and you can deploy it to a device and you can control your lights and that sort of thing. But you can also have it at the end of monitoring, that sort of thing. Anyway, you can write machine code and have it or you can write code and then it gets translated into machine code. My dad wrote machine code. So he wrote basically an assembler. And so he would move AX to BX. He would move 8 bits from this one register to this one register. If you write code in that format, it is ridiculously fast. Okay, because there's none of this bulky nonsense that has to occur between the CPU and the translation of the English that people type when they type Java code to make the 1s and 0s move from left to right, from register to register, right? And so he was really, really successful at that, and very well respected. And he still is. I mean, he's still alive, thank God. So is my mom. And so I would submit that I would, I definitely got the motivation to go into engineering from my dad, because he wasn't on the cutting edge of stuff, but he was really up on the technology that was important. He didn't go out and buy a TRS-80 from Radio Shack just because that was the newest thing that was out there. And Like, people were like, oh my God, personal computer. He didn't buy an Apple IIe, but he did bring home an IBM PC when they first came out. I think at the time it cost like $8,000. And I don't even know if a car cost that, like at 80. When did the IBM PC come out? 1980, 81. Is that right? Anyway, that was pretty neat. And so always encouraging me to, do this stuff. And he's really smart, like really, really smart. So think about it, right? Like he got his electrical engineering degree back when the way that you computed something was with a slide ruler. Okay. So not only did you have to learn like how this silly device worked, like you pick up a calculator, you push buttons, that's how it works. With a slide ruler, you got to know how it works inside, and then solve a calculus problem, and then triple integrate something, and then do a differential equation just to get to that. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, right? So that was a pretty big motivator. And my mom, I mean, they're both, very well educated, and they're very appropriate, and they're very conscientious, and they manage their money infinitely better than I ever will in my entire life. And, they're my heroes, right? So, I'm a little biased, I'm quite certain you're like, no, Mike, as it turns out, my parents are cooler than yours. So back off, buddy. But at least I hope you're saying that. Patrick says, I lived in Egypt for a year, visited the pyramids once a month. Nice, dude. The audacity of those structures never gets old. Good for you, Patrick. That's great. Upper middle class in the suburbs of Boston, not a Southie. Caesar says, Jesus can do it. A broken spirit dieth the bones. Indeed. What if you have 50 more good years? Well, then quite frankly, I'm expecting it. I I expect miracles. Okay. So I'm expecting another 50 good years. And what I don't want is to just be 100, but be miserable. I would rather die at 90 happy than live to be 100 and miserable just to like check the box on the 3 digits or whatever, But yeah, I get to wake up in the morning, so I'll take one more day. How's that? Carl says, I'm glad to be back. Battery went dead. Oh, hey, no worries. Thanks for coming back, dude. I appreciate it. You could have been like, my battery's dead. Time to go to bed. Let me guess. Mike's just going to keep talking. Shocker. Gold is zooming. Time is on our side. Buy low, sell high. Well, right. Sure. Buy low, sell high. Yeah, gold is zooming, but hopefully, what is it now? May, something about, hopefully 2 months ago, you guys bought a ton of Amazon stock. When they announced, oh, yeah, by the way, we're also going to hire 200,000 people now that the economy is lousy. Okay, guess you're investing in the future by the billions. That was a pretty easy thing to see, wasn't it? Aaron says, welcome back, Carl. Hey, gets that. Again, I always mentioned that I really like when you guys do that because I have occasion to maybe ramble on, so I may miss some of the comments. So it's good when you guys are like, okay, Mike's like talking about something. So how you doing, Carl? Oh, pretty good, Aaron. Welcome back. How's that battery? Well, I just recharged it, but I think Mike's going to be. Oh, yep, he's still talking. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Isn't it something like LAMP? And by that, do you mean like a LAMP server? Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP? Did I just completely geek out on you? Then you're like, no wonder he's single. I'm not quite sure what you meant by that, Aaron, but please feel free to expand on that. I'm not being squeezed, Mike. I myself deleted my comment. Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Good. I'm glad because I hate when stuff like, or at least I hate when I don't know why. So good. Caesar says, I think you got to be 70 and miserable to make 100. You got to be 70 million. Yeah, maybe. Who knows, right? Gold. Wish my BTC would hurry up and get back to 26K. Someone else mentioned Bitcoin the other day, and I rolled every altcoin into Bitcoin. And then there was this thing that, I'm going to say Trump was doing it, but it wasn't just him. Obviously, he doesn't spin up servers to do this. But he had this initiative, I guess, that he maybe took credit for or didn't. I'm not quite sure. But I remember there was this website where you could take all of your Bitcoin and you could basically transfer it to this one government Bitcoin website. It was absolutely real. And then they would double it and immediately send it back. Did you guys ever hear of this? And the problem is that you had to have, I think you had to have a minimum of 0.2 Bitcoin. And I got out of Bitcoin after I just kind of lost interest. Well, I didn't get out of Bitcoin. I got out of Bitcoin and I went to altcoins because, I mean, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is a ridiculously horrible technology. I mean, the theory of it is excellent, okay? But I mean, it is so slow and it is so expensive to like do I mean, there's so many other better blockchains compared to Bitcoin. But it's like, you know, the first one. And I can't, it's so crazy to me because, I mean, again, at the end of the day, the first search engine was Yahoo, right? And everyone was like, oh my God, this Google thing came out. It was just a word. It was just a box. There was no colors. There wasn't the Yahoo name. It didn't have news on it. It was just this Google. What the heck that thing's ever going to do? And I mean, now Yahoo is a complete joke. I mean, if you think about it, it's been bought and sold so many times. I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't have made money with the stock if you bought, you know, right time. Verizon now seems to think that they're going to do something profitable with it. Probably they will. I don't know. And but you know, I mean, Yahoo was it, right? They were the number one. They were the first, if you will, like big search engine. They were the 800-pound gorilla, as is said of Oracle, for example. But actually, Yahoo had a good product. Oracle has no integrity. You know, that Google came out, right? Now that Yahoo was never a verb. Once you become a verb and you become the Kleenex of your industry and everyone else is just simply a tissue, or you become Frisbee and everyone else is just a flying disc, then you've made it, right? And so Google made it a long time ago, and they continue to ridiculously remake it and make it better. And I don't know. I'm like really surprised that there's not an altcoin that's come out that's been like the Google against the Yahoo. There's no altcoin that's out there that's been up against Bitcoin and had to be popular. I mean, if you go to Coin Market Cap, I mean, I think the number 2 is still like, I mean, it's got like less than half that market share. Wait, no, maybe not. Well, because it's not like Bitcoin has half of it, okay? But I mean, the delta between Bitcoin and is it Ethereum that's number 2? I don't even know anymore. I haven't looked at Coin Market Cap in forever. But anyway, the point with that government website is I think you had to have 0.2 Bitcoin. I had like 0.1975 or something like that. So I rolled some stuff in there, and then I think I added some cash to it to make it 0.2. And then and then I tried to move it in, and they still had time, but it was like, you know, it took forever. And I was just like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna waste all my money because, you know, there's a fee, right? And I'm like, I'm not gonna waste my money to move this in and then wait and have it come back out. It's not enough Bitcoin to make it worthwhile. It's not like 5 Bitcoin or something. So I was like, but I just wondered if anyone else ever did that. Aztecs is a friend of mine, and I were mining and actually had equipment producing our BTC, probably in for about 3K. Yeah, that's not too bad. And when were you doing that though? When it was like when it was very profitable? Because now, well, hold on, how much is it? Is it still at 9,000 or did it go over 10? But yeah, I mean, if it gets high enough, then it's totally worth. Like, what's it cost to process one Bitcoin? Isn't it like 20? Is it $2,600 or maybe it's more than that? Maybe it's 70. I can't remember. I was into it for like about a year and a half. And then I was just like, I like the technology. I like the underlying tech. The blockchain in general is a very good idea. I will, you know, one of the reasons I was talking about TransferWise earlier, one of the reasons you can move money in 6 seconds is because the underlying technology is based on the blockchain. And a lot of banks, Bank of America, for example, is using Ripple is the coin, but it's using the Tangle. It's using the Tangle blockchain underneath, right? So that's helping them move money reliably. So I then robbed to nothing a few years back, so he lost interest. I traded him an HP notebook for his half of a Bitcoin he had mined. Smart move. When did you trade it? Did you trade it for it in January 2017 when it was at like, what did it peak at? Like 23,000, 26,000, something like that? Oh, there we go. So yeah, so he transferred it to me, BTC, then rocketed to 26 Aussie. Oh, 26,000 Aussie. Nice, man. Good for you. So I'm not really invested. I did this back in the day when it was still feasible to mine from home yourself. Yeah, now absolutely. You know, have a farm now, right? I mean, you're spending all your money on electricity, right? I mean, you're just heating the air like crazy. Remember, Bing it. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. If you don't know, the back-end search engine that Facebook uses is the Bing engine. And it seems to work pretty well for them. But, I mean, obviously they were like, no. We're not putting Google into the Facebook search. That's not happening. But, yeah, you can't really mine anymore to make. Yeah, but we actually, but me and my staff, we used to joke around about that, you know, because, of course, you know, you're in IT, right? And one of the things you absolutely say to somebody is like, well, good, just Google that. Or like, wait, did you Google it? And, you know, we would joke around. It's like, well, yeah, I Googled it, but I really couldn't find, like, there were a couple of Reddit discussions, you know, these were the tests. And then, of course, we would joke. We would say, oh, right, but did you Bing it? Because if you Bing it, I mean, the joke was, right, if you were trying to Google this about a Microsoft solution, then obviously, right, it's like, no, you need to Bing it. Trust me, the results you're going to get are a little bit more tailored to the Microsoft solution if you Bing it. Yeah. Aztec says, is it possible to mine from home now? It's impossible, to mine from home now. The difficulty is up too high. Currently, BTC is at 14,000 Aussie. What is that? I don't even know the exchange rate. Aussie to US is like, what, 1.2 maybe? 1.3? I can't remember. Yeah, the power cost is absolutely nuts, yeah. And what was it? I mean, they were building these Bitcoin farms like in Iceland, right? Because he just opened the doors and it's cooled the room. 10K US, yeah, very good. Guys, you know what? I just realized. I'm caught up in the comments. Thank you very much for all of them. How many people cruised by? Let me cruise over. I got 12 likes. Thanks, guys. That's really cool. Does this tell me how many people are on right now? Sometimes if I refresh YouTube, it doesn't tell me how many people are watching. No, like when I watch it, because it's my account probably that I'm watching it with, it says started streaming 2 hours ago, but it doesn't tell me how many people are on. But that's cool. Anyway, I am going to call it a night from my side of the world, gentlemen. And I want to thank you very much for swinging by. Thanks for indulging me on a couple of the videos that I was showing and hanging out with Gracie and me virtually as we went through part 4 of coming back off Bank Krachao. And with that, I just want to say it's Mike from livemyassoff.com saying I hope you guys are living the dream, because if you're not living the dream, then there's a pretty good chance you are not hanging out with Aztec trying to figure out how to Bitcoin mine. All the cool kids do that. Thanks for hanging out at the Cool Kids table, guys. You guys make it cool, just so we're clear. The only reason it is a Cool Kids table is because you're here. Stoked to talk to you real soon. With any luck, that will be via a 5-hour live stream on a train. Talk to you soon. Ciao.